So, very warm welcome to all you viewers of Universal Mentors Association. This is the 10th episode in the Talking Education series presented by Simply Science and powered by Brainwonders. Uh, Today, we are talking about a really important topic, talking about the best practices in technology infrastructure in the K-12 segment. And we once again bring you a stellar lineup of educationists amongst us. To start off, we have with us Mr. Siddharth, who's the co-founder of Simply Science, who's revolutionizing education ERP systems with, I think, one of the cheapest and the most cost-effective ERP systems available in the country today. We also have with us Mr. Manish Naidu, who's revolutionizing the complete technology perspective in terms of getting the students and analyzing the students' future with a unique product called DMIT from Brainwonders. He is the founder of Brainwonders. Welcome, Manisha. And to start off with our educationist segment, I think this panel is wouldn't have been complete if we wouldn't have Dr. Neeru Madhuri Parti, who's the academic head of Aravali International School. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you for joining, and she'll also be the moderator of this amazing session. We also have with us Dr. Pragna Mehta, who's the principal of Bright Star Fellowship International School. Welcome, ma'am. We have Dr. Manisha Sharma, head of school, Venkateshwar International School. I think one of the most prominent brands in the country, Venkateshwar International School has now become. We also have with us Ms. Debika Chatterji, who's the director principal of JBCN International School. Ms. Vishali Shah, who's the director of Sheth CN Vidyavihar. Welcome, ma'am. Dr. Suchitra Bhattacharya, principal, Manav Rachna International School. I think one of the most prominent, schools in the Delhi NCR region. Also, we have with us Ms. Sumita Malik, who's the head early years of Shiv Nadar School. Welcome, ma'am, and thank you for joining us for this amazing session. So, without further ado, I would like to first invite Mr. Siddharth to talk about how he is revolutionizing the ERP space with Simply Science, and and then Dr. Madhuri can take away the session as the moderator.
Awesome. Thanks, Sandeep, for the warm introductions and for the entire panel. Thank you so much for joining this session. And I personally would like to learn a lot more from all of you who have immense experience in the edtech space. So, a quick introduction. I'm leading a company which is called WikiKids. As the name suggests, I mean, we wanted the entire platform to be like a Wikipedia for kids from classes 1 to 12, where if anyone wants to learn something, they can just come in, type in, and then learn that concepts and get their fundamentals right. But in India, unfortunately, I mean, no, not many kids have the time to actually learn the concepts. So we had to redesign the entire solution to what the market needs and demands. So the last 2 years, we have been redoing the entire product, uh, talking to different teachers, principals, students as to what their exact pain points are and what would they really benefit from a technology standpoint, which would really help them understand and also guide them in their learning journey and learning process. So that's where where we are today from a Simply Science standpoint. And with your permission, I'll just spend 5 minutes to walk you through 4 or 5 slides, and we can get started on the discussion panel. Is that okay? All right. So I'll start sharing my screen. Screen. All right. Thumbs up if you can see my screen. Uh, no, not yet. All right. How about now?
Now we can.
All right. Sounds good. So again, I'll just walk you through a couple of slides and not make sure that I don't bore everyone to death, so that we can get the interesting conversations going. So at a very high level, who we are? I mean, we are an LMS platform addressing catering towards class 1 to class 12. And from an organization standpoint, I would say we are a social oriented enterprise where we are actually not doing this for the money. I mean, we are actually into defense electronics and medical electronics where we get the money. This is basically we are doing it out of passion, and the main goal is to enable quality platform solution to enable the management, the teachers, and the students as well in their learning journey, right? So that's what we are. So at a very high level, these are our goals, and we have. I'll just go to the next slide. Yes, a second. All right. So we have two different offerings. One is an online e-learning platform which can be accessible both in the school as well as outside school as well. And second one for tier 3 and tier 4 schools, I mean, we have a solution which is called School in the Box, where the complete content is made available offline. And for tier 1 and tier 2 schools, if required, we can actually do customization as to entering their own data, entering their own questions, so that they can actually tag it and integrate it with our analytics and take advantage of the kind of data that we provide to the teachers to provide specialized education. So over the last 20 years, if I mean, it's been a long journey. So we have our own proprietary content, lots of questions, and what we believe in and what how we are different is we believe in guided learning. So anyone who says self-learning works, I mean, I can probably talk to them and debate, but we believe that it has to be guided. It has to be guided by the teachers who know them day in and day out. So unless and until the teachers who know the student and teaches them the way the student would understand, I think there's a famous saying that saying teach according to the student's ability. So every student has their own way of understanding and analyzing. So no better than the teacher who teaches them on a day-to-day basis would understand. So it's more driven through the guided learning concept. And the second one is goal scheduling. It's basically rather than just say, hey, learn this concept, entire concept again, we are very particular in terms of what and where the student is lacking in terms of from a data analytics standpoint, so that the teacher would know rather than saying, hey, learn the entire chapter or who understood what, rather than at a very high level, get into the details with the data and with the analytical information and guide them in the learning process. So that's at a very high level who we are. And we have different modules, and each module has their own personas, what they see and what they from a feature functionality standpoint, every single persona has its own needs and requirements. And here are a couple of our high-level snippets of dashboards from a management standpoint. At a very broader perspective, it's all self-service where they onboard their own students, they onboard their own teachers, assign them to their specific classes, have their own scheduling, lesson plans, as well as if a parent is sitting in front of the school management, they can drill down into a specific teacher on how a teacher is performing and the teacher's dashboard, as well as if a specific student's parents come in to interact with the school management, they can go into the specific student and let the parent know how the student has actually improved with the guidance of their teachers. And similarly, again, the teachers have their own dashboards and students have their own as well. So we have multiple different modules, videos, simulations, activities, as per the new CBSE rules. Everything is pretty much articulated. The UI UX is great, and we have invested so much time in it. So this is at a very high level who we are and what we do. I can give you snippets and walk you through the details as well. Just to take a minute more time, this is the entire platform, and I can actually log in as a management or as a teacher as well. So let me quickly log in as a teacher who's called Jyoti, right? So as a teacher, I can actually go into a specific class and go into a specific concept, play the videos, play the simulations if required, give them activities as a homework, or actually go through the concepts, conduct quizzes. The entirety of it can be done by the teachers themselves. Not just that, from a dashboard standpoint, you can actually go into a specific student and see where they're lacking, or an entire class itself from a cumulative test standpoint. So, for example, again, we can go into the deep dive analytical feedback where we tag each and every single question from topic, subtopic, micro, nano topic. So, if a student gets 60%, rather than saying that, hey, you can do a better job, the goal is to enable the teachers to say, hey, even though the student actually got 60%, where did they go wrong? So that's the kind of in-depth feedback that we usually empower the teachers with the click of a button. For example, I have given a test on this specific subject. So if I click on the report, I know who my top 10 are, bottom 10, so I can challenge the top 10 by giving tougher questions and motivate the bottom 10 by giving them easier questions, right? Or go into a specific student reports and say, hey, this specific student got 7 out of 10. So rather than saying you can actually do better, we can actually look at the taxonomy, or you can actually go into the details and say, hey, in this specific topic, you actually got 5 out of 5, so you're good. But in this specific topic, which is vision and the correction, you're lacking, right? So then you can actually create a goal saying that, hey, you only study this topic and come back rather than the entire aspect of it. So this is at a very high level what our platform is capable of and what we have been working on over the last decade or so. So that's at a very high level, and I apologize for the long presentation. And with that, I think we can start the discussion. Let me know if you have any specific questions. I can answer probably later as well.
All right. Thank you, Siddharth. A very good evening once again to one and all.
Thank you, Manav.
We are at 4:20, and we that means we'll have around 35 minutes for our discussion and 5 minutes for wrap up and question answers. That's how we'll divide our time. So I think technology is a part of us now. It's not only in education, it's in every sphere of life. Yesterday I was visiting a hospital. So moment I fixed up my appointment, I got a message that my appointment with this doctor is at this point in time. And then moment I kind of checked in, again there was a message that we welcome you. Again, when I visited my doctor, he took my ID. He didn't know me by name. He just had my patient ID, and I got a prescription when I left. Yeah. So I think the technology is there as a part of us now. We have to accept it. And of course, COVID has done the final tadaka on it. Yeah. I remember just before COVID, in February, Business World had hosted a conference and I was anchoring it. I love to anchor it, right? And I made a comment that 5 years from now, the physical schools might just disappear, or maybe people might stop doing it. Schools will be all virtual. We don't have to focus on the handwriting of the students. Handwriting will become obsolete. I know how much time we all invested while teaching early years or while being with early years in those cursive letters, but all this will get obsolete in a very short time now. So everybody, and I made another stupid comment. I said all principals must retire by 40 in times to come. We should not get that 60 plus 2 years of, kind of stretching, because this technology will need younger generation every day. How much ever we might try to cope up, it'll be difficult. So with this beginning, uh, then COVID actually came and we saw these things happening, right? We actually saw all this happening. Handwriting became obsolete, schools became virtual, and we all were sitting in different parts of the world and conducting our classes. Today, we have a lot of challenges when we have come back to schools. It's very difficult to make a child sit now on that wooden chair or a plastic chair in a 90-degree posture for those 6 hours. First challenge of the day. They just don't want to sit. Yeah. And now that gadget has gone from their palm, there is somebody who's telling them what to do and what not to do. There's a bell ringing. So all this is very new to some of them, and some of them have just forgotten it in the last 2 years. So we'll begin with our first question, and I'd like to address my first question to Mr. Naidu, who is a who is the founder of Brainworks, which is a Mumbai-based company. It's the largest assessment US patented company in India, working on building the MIs. So my first question goes to Manish. Will education become democratic, that is, by the students, for the students, of the students, with platforms like YouTube, Reddit? There are so many people whom we are meeting nowadays who have not done any formal schooling. They are great at whatever they are doing, and everything they've learned from Reddit. Yeah. So with virtual platforms like this, will education have a face change? Over to you, Manish.
Thanks, Dr. Madhuri. Wonderful start of the conversation, I should say. And Siddharth, good presentation. I had few of the principals also vouching for your product, so I'm sure you will do really well. Sandeep, thanks for the opportunity that you have given. I think I remember a few years back, I had read an article about International Democratic Education Network. They had their first session in Berlin, 2005, where teachers and students, they both have an equal vote in the decision making process and also the learning and social lives. So I think it's part of a setup which has already started to progress in the rest of the developed countries, where both students, teachers, the management have an equal decision to understand what to do in the future. And with technology changing face, and with the technology being, so much part of the setup, I feel there would be a time which will come in where the students more so than ever will start making decisions for themselves. I think part of it is also driving you to tell that the principal should retire at 40, because then you'll have new teachers coming in, and uh, the kids will, the higher students will teach the lower students. I remember during the Teachers' Day, we were the most excited because when we were on seventh standard, we used to go and teach the fourth standard and boss around and become a teacher. So I think students becoming or taking the onus on themselves to make a difference will definitely be there. I think that is the way how NEP is also being planned. Okay, if you look at the national education policy, start early is the mantra, which DMIT, or the product which we do, we identify the child's innate potential so very early, so that they could take a uniform decision about not only for themselves but also the career. So the NAP is also going in a similar fashion, where probably right from the sixth or seventh standard onwards, skill-based training and employer-based training will start building up. And we all know that the difference between an employability skill and what the employer needs is huge. So the earlier the student takes a decision on themselves, guided by the teachers. There was another discussion a couple of weeks back, where they said that whether artificial intelligence will take over teachers, and we all said no. I mean, that won't be done. But what will be done is the extra marks which the teachers do, assessments, teaching, correction, attendance. The teacher should be given the role of being a teacher, and similarly, the student should be given the role of being a student, and as well as guiding themselves to be a better citizen. So I think students will form a very important part in the decision making role. And the more technology involved we are as management decisions, the more we take onus on ourselves to just loosen up and ensure that we trust each and every section of the society. I think sooner or later the kids will rule, and that's something which we would want to see.
Thank
Over
you,
to you.
Manish. Yeah, thank you very much. So I think in times to come, since will have these virtual platforms, it has the education will be democratic. There'll be a lot of homeschooling happening. Children will drop out of this brick and mortar formal schools. We might see a end line. Our generation might get to see an end line of physical brick and mortar schools, or a dropout rate. So over to you, Siddharth. How has technology given a new avatar to science? Since you are managing an LMS system,
Yeah.
from a normal routine class of a chalk and board or a demo in the lab, how will there be a new avatar of science?
So, at a very high level, ma'am, I think technology would play an important role. At the same time, it also depends on how it's being used. I firmly believe that, and it depends from teacher to teacher as well. So everyone has their own style, but in the last one decade, I mean, technology is being used to reduce cost, automation, provide better experiences, probably all of the above as well, and even many more. So technology should be used where it is required, needed, and it doesn't completely replace what's already been happening, but it should be leveraged to maximize the kind of output you're delivering to the students, especially in the education space itself. So it really assists. For example, when a teacher is teaching something on the blackboard, in the even today they do that. But if you actually want to draw a diagram of a heart, it takes time and it's not quick and easy, right? So with the assistance of technology, the teacher can actually resonate better with the students. They can attract the attention of the students better and get into the details. I mean, it's much more interactive. So playing videos, showing good diagrams. So the learning sciences and relating them to real world examples using technology would bring a lot more creativity in how a child learns and understands and tries to replicate whatever they're learning into practical real world examples. So I think the way technology is being used and should be used by the teacher to enhance the creativity of the student is where I think technology plays a very important role in sciences and in education in general today. Hope I answered that question.
Thank you, Siddharth. I think I can so much relate to my own example. When I was in grade 10, in science, we had a question. There was, what is the difference between a diesel engine and a petrol engine? This was a question that used to be there. So for my board, I could hardly understand what was the difference. So my teacher gave me a couple of points to be written in both the answers and the differences between the two. But today, with technology, children can see in 3D rather
Yeah.
in 5D, 4D, all dimensions, a diesel
Yeah.
engine and a petrol engine. And it's so very easy to grasp it thereafter. So we will see a new avatar of science with technology. The other day, somebody was there with those AI labs where
Hmm.
dissections were done with AI.
Yep.
So government had, I mean, during our times, I'm being a science student, we had dissections. We did dissections till our grad and post grad. But then dissections,
Yep.
there was an objection and dissection stopped happening in schools. I still remember we used to get a female rat, and the day we found a female rat, we would be running all over the school. Yeah. But today, children don't get that advantage. But I think science is bringing it back with at least an AI model. Yeah.
Yep.
So my next question is to Dr. Suchitra Bhattacharya, who is currently working with Manav Rachna Chamwood, has been with various military schools. She's worked with various army public schools. She's also worked with GD Goenka. She's worked in Kolkata, and she's a columnist and a motivational speaker. So, my question to you, Dr. Suchitra, is how usage of technology has benefited backbenchers? Yeah, when we children all came on the screen, there was no backbencher, right? The whole scenario changed. So, what are the tools that your school used to ensure the so called backbenchers also benefit while using technology?
Thank you so much, Madhuri, and I am grateful to the platform where we so many educators meet together and we get to learn from each other so much. It's always a wonderful platform, and that is possible because of technology. I will be telling you, since 3 days I'm unable to go to school because I'm having high temperature. I've also done COVID test. But see, look at technology. And when I got this date, I knew that I'm going to come on this platform. So that is what technology is. To come to the question here, I would say first let me talk about the backbenchers. Why do we demarcate or categorize backbenchers? There are a number of students who has been backbenchers who are actually doing excellently well. Backbenchers, first of all, does not necessarily mean they are not good in studies. Maybe they are the ones who are very good in sports. Maybe they are the ones who've got excellent profile in extracurricular activities, and they are flagships of the class or the schools. So I'm sure all of us would agree to the fact backbenchers does not necessarily mean that they are not good in studies. Of course, we do have a couple of them uh, who fall into that category, but that I think everywhere we have in every scenario. When we talk of technology, yes, you're so correct saying that here no one is backbencher. Here everyone is there and flat on that particular screen. I would tell you a little about my school as you have asked the second question. 22nd March 2020, we had the, just a second, my screen is showing something else. Am I audible? Hello?
You are audible, ma'am. You are
Okay.
audible.
So, what I would want to say is 2020, 22nd March, we had suddenly stopped the school. And most of the high end schools, I would say, if not all, later on, which everyone joined, I think March 6th and 7th was a day to start the new session. And we all did. That was because of technology. And of course, like any other normal classroom scenario, every teacher is not as effective. Similarly, was the case with the online classes. We could see some teachers who were involving the students in such a manner that everyone had to put their cameras on, everyone had to ensure that the teacher questions in such a manner that some way or the other someone is answering. Of course, it was not an easy task. Many of us, I think, have followed this. We had one extra teacher in between three classes who would just go and ask someone to click on the cameras. So the students were always alert. This is how we try to ensure that everyone is active in us enough. Of course, as you pointed out in the beginning, that I mean, it is difficult for the children to sit on that with that 90-degree angle on that wooden chair. But I suppose this is what, leaving aside those early year students, this is what children were waiting for these 2 years. It is not only the curriculum that is concerned when a student and a teacher relationship happen. So online, definitely we have everything available, but there are so many things that we need to teach: the life skills, the mental health. These were all of course there was not, possibility was less that we could meet all the ends in the online classes. But here now, children coming back with the little difficulties that they are facing, I think the parents, the teachers, and the students are once again happy to join the classes. But we educators need to be a little flexible. Initially we had 75% of percentage which had to be there, or else the child will not be allowed. Now things can't be that way, so we have to be a little more progressive. And of course, in our schools we are using this from day one. We are using the teams, and it has been very very successful. There was a rigorous training that took place in those from March 22 to 6th of April, day and night. Frankly speaking, we all educators all across, I think, we were all on our toes, and we were learning the new technology. And trust me, I would say that educators have across the world, of course in India, have done tremendously well in updating themselves in the paradigm shift, and they have done justice. Today, if I talk that it is now going to be definitely not away with technology, we need to blend everything so that whether it's a backbencher or the front bencher, we can ensure that learning takes place in the school premises. A little different, I would say, definitely in the school premises, because educators need the eye contact, the body language, the peer learning, which should happen. And that is where we need to ensure that we blend technology. We are telling the children, bring your own device. Maybe they will have their the aid what they have been using all these 2 years, and they're going to learn. So these are the following changes. There are many more changes that we'll need to do. Maybe that's, as I said, the percentage is not attendance percentage should not be the criteria. Children not bringing mobile, it used to be initially a taboo. No, children should not bring a mobile. If they bring it, they should give it to the teacher. We need to make the students aware rather than snatching things away, that this is what is the new day, and therefore they should be trusted. They should be told to utilize technology, as Siddharth says, in the proper manner. And I think it may be a little difficult in the initial days, but that should be the next generation education, and it will definitely go ahead. I suppose I've answered your question, Madhuri.
Thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya. I think technology, I compare it with a rattle. Yeah, when we give a rattle to a child, a toddler, we do this, make that sound, and tell the child that it is to be used for this. It looks like a hammer, also. We don't do this. We play the sound and tell the child. So, technology is exactly the same thing. When we give technology to children, we also have to show them the path as to where and how to use it. I still remember in 2005, we had made a website for the US government, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, All the World is But One. So, of course, we won the first prize out of around 253 schools, 59 countries, first country from Asia to win. Rather, our prize was we got a ticket, free ticket to White House. We were in the White House, and the award was given to us in the White House in Washington D.C. We were state guests for 13 days for U.S. government. So that is where I think we taught our children how to use technology constructively. Today there are a lot of, I'll come to that question also, but I think as educationists, one of our biggest role is to ensure the right usage. Yeah, we just need to
Absolutely.
ensure that. My question over to Dr. Pragna Mehta, who is heading Bright Start Fellowship School. How has your school handled differentiation through technology? Ma'am, your mic is off.
Thank you, Dr. Madhu. Technology was of and is of great help with regard to differentiation, because no more do we go at a particular pace which the teacher decides or the regular average classroom decides, because each classroom have kind of abilities which will be like a normal distribution curve. And earlier we were to restrict to the middle segment, where if the teacher would go fast, then some of the children will get lost, and some will, if she goes at a normal pace, some children will get bored because they already have picked up the concept. They would not like it to get repeated. So during lockdown, breakout rooms played a very big role, where we could make different groups, give them different assignments, and children completed at their own pace. The same practice is being followed now, where we can encourage accelerated learning for those children who want to delve into the details of certain topics or want to learn some new related topics and share it with their classmates. Presentations have changed a lot from just a normal presentation which we had on the slides to video making. And the children who take time, we are able to provide them with more different types, and in different ways we are engaging them, providing at their level uh, different kind of assignments. So differentiation is made very easy also for the teachers because of the availability of so many resources, so that teachers don't spend a lot of time creating those different assignments. So the in terms of also in terms of assessment, as the feedback which a student gets from different kinds of applications which are available, like Kahoot or Quizzy. And so the student also learns and gets the feedback and is not only dependent on the teacher. Teacher, of course, sets those assignments and it has made it fun. The best part is it is really fun and children look forward and they ask for these assignments. So differentiation was made very easy for teaching learning process, assessment process, and has really helped each and every student. Is that fine or?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pragna. I think you're very right. We are facing this challenge in our schools right now. Teachers were using platforms like Padlet, quizzes, method tables. So now now children don't have technology in the classroom. So, and when they were conducting those online quizzes, the results were instant, right? The child knew that the child has understood it or there is a learning gap. Along with the teacher, it was like no so it's become a big void now. Again, those same notebooks have to be collected, corrected, and given back, and then the child to know whether I have followed it or not. So this is a big, which will like kind of bring me to my second question to the entire panel. All right, we move on to Miss Sumita Malik. Miss Sumita Malik is heading early years at Shiv. She's been into education for around 20 years. She's been into teacher training, curriculum development, workshops. Before joining Shiv, she was also with Heritage School for 13 years and believes in promoting creativity. So, my question to you, Sumita, is how has technology, because I'm trying to cover every aspect, whether it is differentiation, backbenchers, every aspect. So, one of the very important aspects for us is our connect with the parents. How has technology helped in creating family portals supporting two-way communication between home and school?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Madhuri, and thank you, everyone. So this is a very important question what you asked, because yes, learning did become very personalized, and differentiated learning was there because everybody was able to have smaller groups, one-on-one check-ins, and all of that really helped each child. So what happened during the pandemic? In fact, before the pandemic, it was to parents. And every school was actually talking about that parents don't understand what we are doing. Parents are not with us. Parents don't believe in what we do. How should we really make them understand that this is how things have to be done? That was generally the conversation what used to happen amongst the teacher community. During the pandemic, it was all there. Everybody knew that each parent is watching what the teacher is doing, and it was so transparent that the connect between the school and the parent became like a bond. And even if there was a wall between the school and the parent, that was broken, because every day the teacher was actually doing a home visit, and the teachers knew everything whatever was happening in the child's house. So it was a very close connection what everybody built. And also what has happened is that because of these portals and because of technology, um, communicating how to deal with every subject or what the task has to be, everything was there for the parent, and it was very easy for the parent to also understand that this is how we have to deal with certain things. Because if in schools we say that we don't have to raise our voices, and if the teacher is talking politely, parents used to come back and say, oh, we've learned how to talk politely with our children, and we've learned how to not look down on our children. So that has been a tremendous change if we really look at through technology that has happened. And I think now parents understand more about the pain and the kind of work what teachers do. So that has been a huge shift in education system if we really look at it. And also when I talk about some of the senior children, I would in fact like to just take a thread from what Siddhartha was talking about, guided learning. Learning actually became not just guided, but it was also self-paced. For every child, it was a self-paced learning, and teachers truly became facilitators. And because it was also self-paced, it helped each and every learner to grow uh, in their capacity, at their capacity, and it really helped the school, the child, and the parent to understand education as a whole. And I think that has technology has brought that to the forefront, that personalized education is the way to move ahead. And we all know UNESCO's also put it there in their new policy which has come out, that it's a right. Personalized education is the right of each child. Thank you. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, thank you, Sumita, to quite an extent. Uh, it's this communication between the parent and the school is very, very critical. And more than the school, between the teacher who's teaching and the parent. And I think COVID was the best time which kind of cemented it so well without anybody realizing it. As you said, parents realized the pain of a teacher. They also understood it's not that you stand in front of a classroom and teach. There's lots more that goes into making a classroom successful. So thank you very much, Sumita. We are moving now to Dr. Vishali Shah, who is the campus director at Sheth and Vidyavihar at Greater Ahmedabad. She's also been a board of trustee at Gujarati Kelavani Parishad. She's been an educational professional with Amba School for Excellence. She's been a principal with Diwan Bolu Bhai Secondary School, Ahmedabad. She's a passionate educationist who connects very well to her students, teachers, and parents. She's handling the responsibility of co editor of many magazines for teachers, children, and students. So, over to you, Dr. Vishali. We have covered almost every aspect. Assessment is again a very, very critical. In some parts of our questions, we did cover it, but assessment is a very, very critical part of teaching. And I think schools are spending, when I look at the date sheets, they come to me for approvals. I realize there's a lot of time that we spend on assessments. Teaching versus assessment ratio time has to be really monitored very well. Yeah, we can't eat up on the teaching time for assessments. Like these board exams have become like one crazy thing. I remember when we went to school, we had syllabus of grade 9 and 10. Sometimes I feel I'm an antique piece, though I'm not. And in grade 12 we had exam from grade 11, 12, and the exam used to happen almost every day, Monday to Friday, and we were through. And now the board exams goes on like forever and forever and forever, and the entire school, at least the senior wing, comes to a pause almost. Exams are going on, we can't do this. Exams are going on, we can't do that. So the whole system comes to almost a pause. And the duration is too high to come for a pause. In a normal year, when COVID has to happen, when pollution has to happen, when democratic protests have to happen, when the Indian festivals with all the diversity have to be celebrated, I mean, with that, it really eats up on our teaching time. That's the real learning when the learning is happening. Assessment is only testing. So, my question to you is where, how do we improvise in our assessment system when it comes to using technology?
Uh, Thank you very much, Dr. Madhuri, for asking me this question because I'm the person of the assessment and evaluation. So very happy to have this question from you. Basically, when I really see the senior students, that is for high school and higher secondary students, 9 to 12 standard, as you mentioned, for the board examinations, the majorly all 4 years goes into the preparing for the different kind of n number of exams. It's not only about the board examinations, but at the time of the uh, university admission, at that time also the students are really busy with all the entrance examinations, other competitive examinations, and they are with their books only. So as an educator, what I have felt and practiced during the years, that majorly we have not imposed the students to give all the time the paper pen uh, examinations. It's more over the performance based examinations. It's more over the activity based examinations. So when activity comes for the higher standard students, it is in the form of the integration of subjects. It must be in the form of the various kind of projects wherein they can integrate different subjects with the one concept. If I say the give you the example, just like the nature, a concept of nature is really widespread into the different subjects, into the different scholastic and co-scholastic both. It's not only about the scholastic, because co-scholastic is also very much important, as we all have understood that the life skills are developed or the imbibed through the co-scholastic subjects only. So when we teach the concept of any subject, or we want to assess any subject, I feel so. Okay, that has given us the best results with the mature students, with the senior students, when we give them this kind of projects or this kind of activities, and we have to evaluate then how much they are able to understand this concept in terms of the practical applications, because our testing is mentally on the basis of the knowledge. It is not for the application, it is not for the skills. So how to assess the students understanding, how to assess the students ability to put into the practices the learned concepts, we don't have that kind of much more platforms, right? So this is how we have tried a lot during the many years, that we pick up the concept and then we try to manage lot many different activities by these students, and whenever they feel okay, yes, guided learning or some kind of guidance or some kind of mentorship is required, then only teachers come into the picture. Otherwise, moreover, the learning, the guidance, the discussion, it happens among the students, not with the teachers. Teachers are always there as a backbone, but whenever student feels okay, yes, they must come in front and discuss with us, or come to us, work with us, then only teacher comes into. So this is how we have tried to assess the students' understanding about the concepts, rather than get them engaged always into the paper pen testing kind of testing, and to prepare them for the board examination. It is there. That's a part of the system, and everybody has to go with. But that is only not the means of the education. That is only not the requirement for the life to build up the career. So I guess if we can have this system across the nation, across the world, for the students at every school, that will be more helpful to the students, and then parents will have to not to be very much into the pressure of getting the good mark sheets. Right, at present, mark sheet with the good numbers, with the good score, is the criteria to have the successful education majorly. So we have to bring out parents from this perception, and then we have to bring out the students from this perception by making our teachers to become very much confident about this kind of assessment. So over here, teachers' role comes very first, when parents and students are obviously very much happy for that. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaishali. Thank you very much. I think I completely in sync. I'm in sync with you. I remember around 6 years back, one of our friends' child graduated from grade 12, and the results come in the last week of May. So the child got around 96% in PCM. So they threw a lunch for all the friends. So we went for lunch, and we had to switch on the drawing room ka do extra AC, and the light, the fuse tripped, right? And somebody called out, Ankit is the same boy for whom this lunch was happening. Go and fix the light. And with a 96% NPCM, he didn't know how to do it. So I really don't know what we are assessing. Yeah. Is it what is written on the
True.
pen or what is here? So I
Today
would
only
say,
when I just want to mention one more thing about
sure.
this. When you are sharing this experience, today only I was going through with the LinkedIn post in the morning, and I saw one very interesting post that one mother has posted that before 3 years they have taken the decision to drop their daughter from the school, to take out their daughter from the school, and everybody was like that, that you are taking the false opinion
Hmm.
decision, you are taking the wrong decision, and your daughter will not be able to compete with the world, your daughter will be not able to compete with these and that. But they made daughter very much confident about that why we want to take this decision. They explained to her, try to convince her with her uh, uh, insertion, and now she got 96% marks into the board examinations through NIOS. And now she has made up her mind that I am really very much good with the science, I'm very much good with the chemistry, I'm very much good with the zoology. So I guess my field will be like this or this. So that confidence came because she was not all the time under the pressure of preparing for the examinations. She was all the time busy
Learning for the sake of
learning
learning.
conversation. Yes. So
Yeah.
that is what, as you mentioned, that there will be the drop down of all the schools at the zero line. I was really wondering that if we'll be able to give this kind of exposure to the students into the schools, really there shouldn't be that won't be a zero line for the schools. But if we'll be busy all the time preparing the students for the examinations only, definitely there will be a zero line for the schools. Definitely.
I think it's very rightly said, Vaishali, that we will have to evolve right from. I mean, we may give them all fancy names, but if you look at the report card of a child, right from the kindergarten, it's. I'm saying we can give them fancy names, linguistic skills, or the MIs, logical, mathematical. Yeah, we may. I mean, and then grade one onwards, it becomes English, Hindi, math, CVS. We break the whole child into, we fragment the child, we disintegrate the whole child. We don't, I mean, the parent keeps running from one teacher to the other, trying to figure out how is he doing in the subject instead of figuring out how is my child learning. So we will have to evolve if, as an education system, as a brick and mortar system, we want to exist. This generation will not accept what previous generations have accepted, because now the choices are too many. They are, हमारे टाइम दूरदर्शन शाम को 6 बजे we are from that generation. This generation has हजारों channels to watch, so they are spoiled for choices. Yeah, we had to eat what our mother cooked. Today, you can Swiggy anything that you want from any part that you want, any cuisine that you want. So, this generation will not accept, their mindset is not like that. Yeah. All right. Now, this is a common question. You may choose to answer, whoever wants to answer. I don't want to put anybody in a kind of a, it's a happy-go-lucky question. So anybody can choose to answer, and all of you can also answer. I mean, I'm okay any which ways. You will never meet another anchor like me, for sure. All right. So the question is, will technology be required in each child's palm in the classrooms in the future? If yes, how and why? If no, there's no how, then there is only why. It's an open-ended question, open to all.
We couldn't get that portion. Will technology, what was it?
Will technology be required in each and every, will children need gadget in
Yeah,
each and every palm in future?
yeah,
If yes, how and why are we planning it in our schools?
yeah. May I?
If no, then there is no how, then there is only why.
Should I go ahead?
Sure, anybody can.
Please.
As the discussion is on technology, and every one of us in our with our own questions, we try to make it very clear how important it is with technology. I would again insist on the fact, yes, we will not be able to do life without technology. So it is high time that we realize what changes as educators, what changes are required. Like, for example, when we talk of assessment, we have to make the environment understand that assessment is not everything. A child scoring 96% will not be able, always not be able to be very successful, whereas a child with 65% or 55% doing amazingly well. So definitely assessment is not everything. This is something we have to put in the minds of the teacher and the parents. Of course the students are aware, so we also have to, but at the same time it's a yardstick to get into entrance of some exam, that as Vishali ma'am was saying, we need to understand that the actual education goes on, and that when we ask the children to have the technology in them, we just give them the topic, we just give them the idea, and they work amazingly well. So without technology, education will just not exist anymore. We have to update ourselves and ensure that children get the proper guidance, proper opportunity, and of course, be a teacher just beside them to help them out, not to teach always. And with this, with technology, we are heading to a wonderful future ahead.
May I?
Ma'am, you're muted.
I think you're on mute, Dr. Madhuri.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
May I just add
Yeah,
something here?
please go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a very pertinent question, and and it's not just us. Everybody, the parents and the teachers, everyone has been thinking and asking this question. I think very rightly said, and we all have been discussing technology is here to stay. We all know that, and that is precisely the reason we must not keep our children away from technology, and we must make sure that our children know how to use it, because they are the ones who are going to be working in future on this. We've Our generation has just learnt it. They have This generation is actually born with it, so they need to learn it. However, I also feel that it's very important for us as educators to keep in mind the relevance of what we are giving to our children. How much are we making them either addicted, or making not just a habit, but using it in a right manner? So that is something we as adults, not just educators, I think also parents, we all have to keep that in mind and make it so engaging for education, for learning, for our children, that they don't go to other platforms. Rather, they should just learn through the platform, and keeping a fine balance of the social emotional connect as well, because that is also a very important aspect of a human behavior, and we need to have a balance of both, and we must give technology to our children, and from which age group is also something we should keep in mind. So that is something I wanted to just put here. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes,
Madhuri,
Pragna.
can I?
Sure.
Yeah.
Have a one sentence. In short, just to sum up, I do agree with what Ms. Sumita ma'am said, that we need to balance. And so technology should be always used as a means and not as an end. Once we do that and look at the overall development of the child and use technology in the right way for even collaboration so that it helps their emotional social intelligence, it will have a good impact on the education. Thank you.
Yes,
May I?
Manish. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
great. Thanks. I think I'll sort of sum up what you all have so wonderfully spoken. starting with Dr. Vaishali stating that concept-based training teaching methodology is so much into the system. I hope and I wish that everybody follows it. And Dr. Suchitra and made a valid point, and he has been making a constant valid point about backbenchers and how they shape up the society. I'll give you a quick technological perspective. Anybody having being the backbenchers are the ones who are socially more active than the ones who are sitting in the first benches. So it has been said, and the last 10 years of my genetic intelligence report suggests that the first benches work ultimately for the last benches. So that's how it works. In people with great logical intelligence will be in a position to get IB schools, but the guys who actually sponsor the IB schools are the ones who sit behind. Dr. Pragna, ma'am, you have been stating about the teaching methodology, the teaching styles of the various trainer, and Sumita, ma'am, you also said about the self-based training of the particular child. So the audio-visual concept or the VK concept is so very understandable, and how much it is important to the whole alignment. Now, coming back to what Dr. Madhuri asked, should the technology be in your system? Now, whether technology is a bane or a boon is something which we have been dwelling and shouting and thinking about it day in, day out. Yesterday, I was taking a short one-liner. I was taking an interview of a clinical psychologist. Her dissertation topic was PUBG and the effect of narcissism on the child on a whooping 350 kids, and it showed that it had a negative impact on the narcissism of that particular child. So the same technology which allows us to connect to beautiful principals, teachers, directors, and technology like this is also being used for this particular alignment. So I think the parents equally has the role to play. I think as educators, you all have done a wonderful job in doing everything possible and within your means, handling administrators, handling directors, getting the fees done, getting a team of teachers trained together, getting used to all this technological jargon. And I think you have played God well enough. So yeah, I think technology has its own place. Thanks.
Yeah. So thank you. I think we've had a very progressive discussion. Thank you, each
So
panelist.
before we go ahead, one question, that being the organizer and being a platform provider, and being a person who brings both the ends, whether the technology players and the educators on one
And he's
platform.
smiling because he was a backbencher throughout. So he's just
Absolutely.
smiling. Yeah.
So one question that I would like to ask is on a very specific. We are talking about the importance of technology infrastructure in your school. What, according to you, are the top 5 technologies that are going to change the future of education in India? This question is for everyone.
So we have moved from interactive whiteboards to projectors and interactive whiteboards to interactive panels, which you get. And that has made a lot of difference, as somebody, I think Mr. Manish spoke about, or Siddharth spoke about heart, doing the diagrams and things. And here in a second, in a fraction of a second, you see the heart in 3 dimensions and functioning of the heart, and if there are any damages, whatever teacher wants to explain, it comes so easily that and it's so engaging and so accurate that it builds a lot of interest in learning.
Should I?
Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. This
Should I?
question is for all the educators and all the service providers as well. Top
Yeah.
5 technologies that you think will change the future.
See, I
I
feel
have seen one video, means many videos, that the students will be able to prepare models, 5D models on their own with a special kind of pen. I guess the students will be, they are preparing the models right now with the help of the cardboards and thermocols and whatnot. It will get stopped, and they'll be using this technology to understand and to prepare the future inventions. That may be the major impact on the teaching learning process.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Bhattacharya,
Yeah,
you're
what
talking.
I feel is it's difficult to say to be fixed with something. See, smart boards just started a couple of years back, and they are all obsolete now because we have entered into a bigger zone where we ourselves are preparing so much. Like bring your own device. I think most of our good schools are, I mean, those schools who can afford to. We are wanting the children to bring their own device and do their classes. If not on a every slot, basically we generally are framing in such a manner that in some portion in maybe science class, maybe on a Wednesday, a history class, because even history, geography, if you go in this technology aided classes, it's amazing the way in our days, the way we used to learn by heart, not knowing exactly where Qutub Minar is or what is the soil required in geography. These days it's so very much available, and understanding, as Madhuri ma'am was saying, she couldn't understand the two types of engines. When it is shown, the chemistry classes, it used to be so tough for us in our 11 and 12 standard. Now these things are so very easy. So instead of getting fixed, I think every day things are changing. We need to keep a pace with organizations like you, Sandeep, and Manish sir. We need to be together, because ultimately education has to be integrated. We alone will not be able to do anything because we are educators. We need help of such organizations who are constantly working on technology and change our thought process on a regular basis. That's what I feel. But definitely technology is something which we have to embrace, and there is no way out. Thank you.
Dr. Madhuri Parti, over to you, ma'am. What
I think
according to you are the five technologies that will change the course of future of the students?
I think AI will be there in a big way in our education system. Virtual reality and AI will take over the whole scenario. I think I agree with Suchitra. In 2004 is the first time when we got smart boards. Even before Educom, the term smart boards came. 2004, there was a company, I still remember. I had gone to see their first litmus test sample in some Bahadur Shah, some place, God forsaken place. Of course, they didn't beat the competition, and Educom smart class term became much more popular, but there were players before that also. And the flip learning and BYOD, I think I did it in my school in 2005. So even these things are obsolete today. So there is going to be a sea change. To predict which five is very tough because it is changing every day. It is evolving every day. Yeah.
Miss Malik, over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely, I agree with everyone that it's changing every day. You really can't predict. And yes, AI is there, and it is certainly going to be taking over a lot of things what we've been doing as we speak in education. However, I would just like to share something here, which I just when I was in IIM Ahmedabad just last week, we just saw a video which kind of stayed with me, which I wanted to just share with you. There is a country I don't want to name because we are on a platform like this, who's actually developing a device where you put a band on a child's brain and the teacher is able to check whether the child is actually attending what she's saying, or she's not, or is not is not attentive enough in the class. So I think if it goes to that extent, we as educators need to really think about it, that what are we going to be doing, and should we really allow AI to come to that level? I think that is something I wanted to put it here. Thank you.
I have a point to make here. One of my friends, colleagues rather, I'm also an advisor on that board, has started a virtual school. It's called Cryo Board. All right. And first time when we had a meeting, I said, how will we figure out whether a child is learning or not learning? That was the time when on Zoom we were seeing children coming in, going out, writing all kind of nasty remarks. That is the era that I'm talking about. And he found a solution. AI could give him because of the blink of the eye and the eyeball movement, whether a child is learning or not learning. He had to spend a bomb on getting that, but he got it. Today, on his virtual school platform, you can make out, even if the camera is there or not there, whether a child is learning or not learning. So that's
Okay,
where we are.
moving on to Mr. Siddharth. Siddharth, sir, according to you, the top five technologies that the school should adopt for their students.
So rather than the technology, I would say any technology which has these five things, right? One is it has to be collaborative, it has to be affordable, it has to be analytical, experiential, and it has to be context or problem based. So if you have these kind of uh, feature functionalities which would engage these five things, any technology would be highly beneficial for both the teachers, the management, and the students as well. So this is at a very high level. So that's my
Right.
take on.
Last but not the least, Manish, sir, according to you, the top changing trends, especially what are the five technologies that the school should implement for their students? I'm asking you what they should do because I've asked the educators about the five things that according to them would change the future of the students. According to you, what would be the five things that the school should implement so that the students are future ready?
I think nobody is future ready as of now because no one knows where the future lies. Okay, it's a very, it's a question which gives nightmares to almost everybody. Like we have 507 curated careers aiming at 11,000 colleges and 30,000 courses, but I don't even know if after 7 years they would exist in the market. But I think if I start a school, I will have Dr. Madhuri's intuitive technology, which aligns and makes me understand the child's brain. I will obviously understand the child's genetic intelligence, the parent's intelligence, more importantly, because the onus is on the parent to be a better parent, not on the child to be a better child. So, and one collaborative tool where we can get the parents, teachers, educators, and more importantly, an happy child concentric setup where the child is happy, irrespective of whether you use technology or don't use technology. But I think we are on the quest of those few technologies which will help all the players, all the stakeholders be happy. I think at the end of the day, technology should make me happy, not sad.
Thank you so much, sir. And I think this was such a wonderful session. I believe everybody would be agreeing to me that, you know, the role of technologies at the end of the day is inevitable within our schools. And I think all the wonderful panelists have brought out, exactly that as the outcome of this amazing discussion. So I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart to Dr. Madhuri Parti, Dr. Bhattacharya, uh, Dr. Shah, and Mr. Siddharth, uh, Manish Naidu ji from Brainwonders, Dr. Pragna Mehta, and Sumita Malik ji. Thank you so much for joining us for this amazing panel discussion. Uh, and we would request you to, the session was completely live. You can still watch it on YouTube. Please do subscribe to our channel and keep supporting Universal Mentors Association for many more such discussions to come. I have also shared the link in the group. You can go ahead and subscribe to our wonderful channel. Thank you so much for this amazing session. Until next week, we are going to bring one another amazing session with few amazing, educators across the country. Thank you so much to all you wonderful
Thank you.
speakers, wonderful viewers. Stay tuned until next week. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
one. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, everyone.
much for
Thank you, all
providing
the
such a
panelists.
wonderful
Thank you.
platform.
Great talking to